Hello and welcome back to the MMA Split podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Josh.
Fair and glorious HD coming through on his phone. He's never looked so clear. Sounding clear as well. We are still -1 of the trio. Sly is having far too much fun in Ibiza. Should be back tomorrow, but yeah, obviously hasn't watched the card, so didn't really think that he was best to appear on. But me and Josh have. And we will be discussing everything that happened, or lots of things that should have happened and didn't happen the way that they were meant to. On UFC Vegas 32, Dillashaw versus Sandhagen, plus having a little look at the news and touching on a bit of an interesting and very entertaining main event in the bare knuckle boxing that happened over the weekend as well, featuring Paige Van Zandt and Rachel Ostovich. First and foremost, and Josh, I know this isn't where you want to start, but we're starting with the main event in UFC. And Dillashaw technically gets the win over Sandhagen by split decision.
I mean, it did. First of all, I'm pretty baked today, like more so than usual, like dangerously so. I didn't feel like he did win the fight, but then when you kind of go back and rewatch it and you look at the numbers, it really, if you kind of value the overall number of strikes and significant strikes and the amount of top control, versus the amount of actual damage done, then yeah, like I suppose technically he wins rounds 1, 3, and 5, and
there's no way he wins round 5. No way. I've rewatched the fight twice. Sorry to interject, but there's my viewpoint is I was impressed with TJ. I really was, and I didn't want to be. I thought he wasn't going to look as good as he would 2.5 years out. I thought his timing looked a little off. He definitely wasn't looking as sharp as he did, in his last fight, which was his flyweight fight, but in his previous bantamweight defense. I thought he did well, and I thought he proved a lot in terms of still being at the top of the division in terms of his quality. But I didn't think he won the fight. I thought he won round 1, and I thought he won round 3. I thought he lost round 4, and I thought he was pretty heavily outstriked in round 5. What I think had a massive factor is that the judges, 2 judges in particular, were pretty shoddy throughout the rest of the card as well. And TJ had his own fucking fan club in attendance. So to be honest, by the time we got to the main event, and I'd already seen the other decisions the way they'd gone on the cards, I was already thinking it's a bit nervous. And the 4th round ends, despite me being pretty confident that Sandhagen won it, it was immediately erupted with an audience of about 100 people all yelling, TJ, TJ, TJ. I did think to myself, like, fuck's sake, there's going to be at least one judge that's swayed by that.
Well, man, I forget his name. Junshiri Kunjiko. Nah, man, I'm getting that wrong.
Don't worry, I know which one you're talking about.
Those names. Him and Saudi Amato. Saudi Amato can make bad decisions here and there. But that other one, yeah, is usually a bit of a culprit. And I believe gave a bit of a weird one, like gave maybe around like 2 or 4 to TJ.
He gave round 4 to TJ.
What were the striking stats in the 5th round, out of interest? Sorry, I can't look it up. I'm too stoned to be looking stuff up anyway. And
Don't
Sly's
worry.
not here.
Okay. So, total strikes were reasonably, for the whole fight, were reasonably close. Corey outlanded him on significant strikes. I'm just going to bring up the official stats, sorry.
Yeah, I have had a look. I'm pretty. I think it was fairly even total strikes. Corey just about edges it in efficiency and total landed.
Okay, here we go. So I've got them up.
Tense.
Total strikes. Yeah, very similar efficiency. It's hard to say with this because I don't know if these have been updated. I've watched a couple of videos, I've watched it back myself. Technically, in terms of total strikes, Dillashaw did outland him in the last round, but the effectiveness of the strikes, I mean, if you just watch the round, it looks like a round where he's getting hit with the bigger, cleaner shot. And listen, I thought, despite my own dislike of him, I thought TJ did really well. I didn't expect him to be this good and to perform as he did. And he didn't give up. And he clearly had his knee injured from the submission attempt in the first round. Clearly affected by that, big time. Still found a way to go forward. Horrific cut on the eye. Did not give up. I think that championship mentality is, and obviously the wars that he's had in the past have served him well and gave him that experience. I do think that Sandhagen fought a very dumb fight for about 3 rounds.
Yeah, he was really failing to land on some ambitious stuff that was just not really there.
Yeah,
just didn't make a lot of sense.
Nothing was set up. He wasn't fainting enough. Even in the second round where I thought he did really well, it still was very aggressive. You know, I think he still didn't really capitalize on it in the way that I think he wanted to. The flying knees were just not a good idea. They didn't.
No, well, that first one, where Dillashaw essentially kind of manages to walk through and finish the takedown just to wind up in the reverse triangle. That one looked like it did really hurt Dillashaw for a bit there, but it wasn't worth it when you figured that along with the top control he ended up getting, that's probably where Dillashaw takes the first round, and then just Sandhagen looked a little off. I don't know if he was kind of put off by the moment or what it was. Dillashaw didn't look too rusty. I hate this guy. I hate Dillashaw so much. He looked all right. He did well considering the injuries.
This is what's so infuriating, though, when I think the judges get it wrong, is that you couldn't have got it wrong for a less deserving bloke. Of all the fuckers to get, and I know it's close. This isn't a full robbery. This isn't a fight that we're going to talk about further down on the card, which is just like, what the fuck's going on? What the fuck have you seen that the rest of us haven't? It's not that. But still, for all the guys to get this kind of rub of the green, TJ Dillashaw, I don't like it, man. I don't like it at all. And it's shit. But listen, he fought well. He looked impressive. I honestly thought, for Sandhagen, I think the biggest shame about this is that I think TJ is going to be better the next time he fights. I think his sharpness and his timing is going to be better. So I think he'd be a harder fight the next time Sandhagen fights him, even if Sandhagen improves himself. And I do think that if you can really threaten with the takedowns against Sandhagen, his takedown defense can be really good, and it was really good, but it definitely has an effect over the fluidity of his striking. As soon as he's got a real genuine thought that he's got to be considering that, it affects how dangerous he is on the feet.
Yeah, so I think he understood quite early on that TJ's wrestling was going to be able to sort of nullify his jiu-jitsu. And I think he's able to fight with a certain kind of freedom against a lot of guys because he knows that he can out-scramble them or threaten earlier on, with the submissions. So, yeah, it made it tough for him to get going. I do think he can fight a lot better than that. I wouldn't say that necessarily I'd favour TJ Dillashaw if they ever got a chance to run that one back. But it's tough. Watching it back the second time, I did kind of lean towards giving Dillashaw the decision. So I really don't know how I feel about it. Dillashaw does this though. He understands how to win fights. Even the one that he lost to Dominic Cruz was very close. I think that was a split decision too.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Shit happens. Listen, for Corey, he's young enough, he wins his next fight and he's straight back in the picture,
Yeah.
For Dillashaw, this was the last chance saloon. And it keeps him relevant again. And I mean, looking at it, I think he beats Aljo. I don't know if he beats Jan. I haven't seen Jan go up against somebody that can mix the takedowns in like he can. He wouldn't have to deal with the length and the reach. He's relevant in the division again. There's no denying it. And that's not good news. It's not what we wanted. But, MMA doesn't give a fuck.
No, but if Jan beats Aljo, which I think we're all expecting him to do, then maybe Sanhagen finds himself right back in number 1 eliminator spot against Aljo running it back.
Oh, that would be a good fight. And talking about Aljo versus Jan, that has got a date, October 30th, 267. It's going to be a co-main event to Glover versus Jan in Abu Dhabi. So, yeah.
That'd be a pretty good card already.
A lot of pressure on the line for Aljo. He might very well go down as one of the douchiest champion of all time. And there are some douchey fucking champions in that group.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you count interim titles. Apologies for the dog.
Oh, you're all good. You're all good. And I know that there's been people that have had shorter douchey title reigns, but just the fact that he did the fucking unspeakable sin of getting the belt and then booking in a bunch of surgeries.
I don't know. I feel like the worst one was always McGregor. How long did he have the featherweight title without
close to 2 years?
Any intention of defending it at any point? Just absolutely ridiculous.
We spent enough time talking about Conor McGregor on this podcast in the last few weeks. I think this podcast for our viewers should be a McGregor-free zone, which may also massively increase our female audience as well. Looking for a zone of that nature, which would be good for business. So no Conor McGregor. TJ's a douche.
Co-main.
This shit happens. Co-main event, judging catastrophe number 2. Kyler Phillips didn't win the fight. You could say maybe he should have had the fight stopped in the first round, but maybe Pivus survived and he proved that was a good decision with what happened in the next 2 rounds. If that first round isn't a 10-8, what the fuck is?
Yeah. No, like if you take a look at what the rules say about the scoring, that's a 10-8. I think we're going to see a lot of soft 10-8s, a lot of 10-9s that should have been 10-8s, and I'm assuming that when we get a 10-7, it's just going to be nice and obvious, same as it was when we used to have a 10-8. But yeah, I don't know why it has to take them a while, but it's going to take the judges a while to figure this shit out. I mean,
what I would say is that for Kyler Phillips, this is a very good lesson learned. You can't, some of the crazy shit that he was trying in the first round, some of it worked, a lot of it missed. And a lot of it was high energy, big swinging moves, very explosive, very dynamic. And you can't think like that. You gotta, for a guy that's won most of his fights on decision, I was really surprised that he showed kind of poor fight management.
Well, and very deliberately emptying his gas tank all the way to the end of the round. He came out in the second frame a different fighter.
Yeah.
Just
and even that there wasn't really a thought. I kind of thought, to be honest, I thought that first couple of minutes of round 2, he might just be taking the round off to come back in round 3. But then again, he constantly, if he got some energy back, he'd try and burst again in that round. And it's just like, no, you've got to stay calm. You got to think about this. For Piver, man, fucking fair play to the guy who's usually a flyweight fighter. He moved up, took some big shots in the first round and just outgritted him, really. Outlasted him.
Yeah.
Description.
Yeah, he looks like he hits pretty hard himself too. He did well to survive the first round. I am pretty surprised this one didn't go down as a draw. At the same time, there were times when I thought the movie Favor was going to be able to capitalize on Kyler Phillips emptying his gas tank, having nothing left. But both guys survived to the end of the fight. Deserved a draw. Hey, what can you do about the fucking judging? What can you do?
Well, that's not even the worst catastrophe, because at least I'd say young guys, it's no skin off their back, off Kyler's back. It's not going to prevent him from bouncing back. And the difference between a loss and a draw, you still didn't win. There were still lessons to learn.
Well, it depends, because if he's kind of got this mentality still that he wants to be a fan favorite, he wants to go out there to try to finish fights, he's going to put himself in bad positions. And if it's a case that he needed that mentality to push himself as hard as he does, then he needs to find like a way to kind of like refine it, which is kind of easier said than done. But you'd like to think, he's had failure in the past and bounced back strong. So you'd like to think he's going to come out a smarter fighter. I just hope he does. Try to think who he trains with.
I think his dad's one of his big coaches. I know he trains in an actual MMA gym as well, but his dad's very heavily involved.
Totally forgotten who it was.
Either way, I think, listen, he seems like he's a pretty switched on guy. Sometimes he's co-main event. I don't think that helped. I think he thought in his mind, go out there and really make a statement on the main card. And it's not the right mentality to have. And again, it's like, my real point, although it's disappointing that it wasn't a draw, it's not like the judges robbed him of a win. No one was giving him a win.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd say. But also frustrating because a little bit of a trend that's going to develop here. Very similar for Josh, because we were almost identical on our picks. I'm 0 for 2 so far on the card. The first two I was pretty upset about. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of happy that I was wrong on the next fight down, because Darren Elkins did what Darren Elkins does and got it done against Derek Minner.
Vintage damage.
I'll say this, man. You look at his actual record. Okay. I'm not saying that it's the best record that you've ever seen. But I think I really gave this guy some unnecessary, I think I was a bit too harsh on Darren Elkins. You look at the people he's fought. He went on a really bad 4-fight losing streak, which, okay, it's not great, but then you look at the names he's fought. I'm going to read out these names for you. These are the 4 losses he's had since 2015 in the last 6 years, and they were all in a row. Volkanovski, who's the featherweight champion. Ricardo Lamas in 2018, who's a beast and can knock you out on any day. Ryan Hall. And a Nate Landwehr, where I honestly thought he beat Nate Landwehr. I thought that was a bad decision.
Yeah, nice. He's beaten a lot of impressive guys. I think Michael Johnson, Mirsad Bektic,
Chaz Skelly.
He has that ability to take a lot of damage and then come back and finish a fight. I think Minner proved in the first round that there was a reason he was the favorite going into that fight. As per usual, Elkins celebrated with a face full of blood. I know it was a cool fight. Like I say, I'm glad we were wrong about it. We did not do well on our picks this week.
I know I won because my picks are the same as yours and I got the one tiebreaker right. But it doesn't feel like winning when you got as few corrects as I did.
Doesn't matter. Sly didn't win. He didn't submit any picks. So we don't have to even reveal the overall number. People can go back and work out if they want. But that's good, because then they have to view the pick show one more time.
Very nice. I like that mentality.
Yeah.
And what I'd say with Derek Minner, felt like he kind of cursed himself a little bit, because pre-fight, he was talking in his interviews. He's saying, I'm going to submit him. I don't just want to knock this guy out. No one submits Darren Elkins. His jiu-jitsu is really good. I'm going to submit him. And there are a bunch of positions Darren Minner was in where I thought, okay, you're going to land some ground and pound. You're going to do some damage. And it's like, oh, no, you're going for the guillotine again. Okay, you've tried that once. Oh, you're going for it again. And then even in the second round, it's like, you're knackered. I can see you're tired. Stop going for a guillotine. Your arms are going to be exhausted. You're about to be fucked. And it was just like he had it in this mentality. This was going to be how he did it. And before he knew it, it happened quite quickly. Suddenly he's tired. Suddenly he's on the bottom. And I mean, there was a lot of punches landed before they stopped this one.
Well, I don't understand how he kept letting Elkins get back into the crucifix position like he didn't see it coming. It was just defend the fucking position, like find a way to get half guard or something. Just
Yeah, man, but his arms were, I think he just burnt everything out. He just didn't have the physical energy in him to do anything about it.
I know, but it was when he would get an arm free and try and retaliate and throw some strikes back, and it's like, no, just try and hook a leg from here. Just do not let yourself get put back in that crucifix position. But
yeah, Elkins gets it done.
Yeah.
Did he always talk the way that he talks?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of relieving because without context, I was hearing his interview and I just thought, Jesus Christ, I really hope that I don't see an interview from you like 6 years ago and you're talking perfectly eloquently like this. Okay.
Nah, I mean, the dude's tattoo tells you pretty much everything you need to know.
Fair enough. Well, great performance, great underdog win. The Elkins is still going, still taking damage, still winning. Now we have to talk about a travesty, an abomination, an insult to my pick, to MMA, to judging, to Miranda Maverick. What did I say earlier about they couldn't have got this judging result wrong for a less deserving guy? Really don't like Macy Barber. Really, just as a fundamental human being, I do not like her. I do not like the fact that she could have perfectly said, you know what, really close fight. Maybe I did get a little bit lucky. Shit happens. She was just like, no, I definitely won that fight. I won the third round. Like, yes, you did win the third round, but you didn't win the previous 2 rounds. And at least with the Dillashaw fight, like you say, you can look at top control, you can look at all of these different factors that would give you at least a squinting reason for why you can give the result. There is fucking nothing. There is nothing that gives Macy Barber those first 2 rounds. She was landed, what, less than 10 strikes total across the first 2 rounds? I'm going to look this up.
Yeah. I thought Maverick had it in the bag. I was surprised and worried when it was a split decision. And then obviously, like you say, it couldn't have gone to a less deserving person. Very frustrating. I'm not a huge Barber fan. Kate hates her. I thought Maverick looked good in the first 2 rounds. Well done to Barber for coming back, but
yeah, 100%. I'll give her that. She didn't give up in the third round.
Second.
This is what I'm trying to look up. Just give me a sec. I'm on Pack Tapology. Sorry, we haven't got Sly to do all of this while we talk. Damn. Why aren't I seeing this on the UFC website?
I'm worried that if I try to access anything else on my phone.
Yeah, don't worry. Sorry about this. It's just it's not popping up on
UFC stats.
UFC stats.
Doesn't matter. Pretty sure Maverick won that fucking fight. Barber, again, just doesn't really look much improved. Just same old.
Got it.
Macy smash, Macy win fight.
Okay, so. Yeah, pretty. I mean, you could argue in round 2, Maverick landed 15 significant strikes. Apparently, Macy Barber landed 13. I don't remember her landing 13. But, I mean, all the other things are just completely in her favor. The takedowns, she did more with the takedown that she landed in the second round. By every metric that you measure a fight,
Yeah.
Miranda Maverick won that. She's taking it like a champ because she actually has class and humility. And one of the saddest things, I mean, you could literally see Macy Barber was tearing up in anticipation of the loss, and she couldn't cover the fact that she was tearing up when she was talking about how, no, I totally expected, no, I knew I had it. It just infuriates me. It infuriates me. What I would say is, I did think Maverick looked a little slow. I think the striking needs a lot of work. I was surprised that Barber was bad enough in the first 2 rounds for it to work, because the kicks, the setups of the punches, it was just very slow and telegraphed. And I think she's really got to sharpen up that aspect of her game, to be honest.
Sorry, it's just threatening to bark the whole time though. Were you talking about Maverick or Barber there?
Maverick.
Sharpen up.
Maverick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, both girls are far from a finished product. We both anticipated that Maverick was going to be able to control the fight a little better. I think maybe we gave her a little too much credit, but you know, Barber is still a tough outing, even if it's easy to kind of see all the holes in her game because she's quite big-headed and obnoxious. It's a lot more fun to kind of bring her down a peg or two. Still, but both girls have got a long way to go.
Absolutely, absolutely. For Maverick, the UFC tends to be pretty decent with the matchmaking when somebody gets a rough result. You know, the number of times that I've seen the guy who ends up on the losing end of that in many ways get the slightly more interesting fight in his next outing, or her, compared to the winner. I think they do quite a good job of correcting that. So I certainly don't think it's going anywhere. And obviously for Barber, it's a lifeline. Simple as. It's a lifeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, frustrating, incredibly annoying. They've got to get these fucking judges right. I had a lot more tolerance when at least they were doing the traveling circus with the fight nights a bit. And you could make the argument of local judges and these things happen. But the fact that we're seeing this a bit too frequently in Nevada at the Apex, which should be your absolute best of the best, it's disappointing.
Yes, often the same names getting it wrong as well. So
funny that if only there was some kind of regulating body.
Yeah.
I'm not getting into that. Because instead we're going to talk about a fight that did not need the judges' attention. Thank God. And I think we were pretty sure it wasn't going to need the judges' attention. And it's the fight that won me the picks this week. So it's one of the only ones I got right. But fucking hell, Yanez gets it done against Costa. And to be honest, even as I was watching before the knockout happened, the main thought that I had was it's 8 fights against 17. That's what I thought the difference was. It's the difference of experience that you have when this is your 17th fight and a guy starts that quick. And even though it kind of throws you off your rhythm, you can recompose yourself and be able to establish what you want to do in round 2. And a guy with 8 fights that gets really excited, he knocks everybody out in the first round and he doesn't conserve his energy and manage it well.
Yeah, another cautionary tale. You need to have one hell of a gas tank if you want to push the pace early. Costa did look fantastic in the first round.
The ability there, man.
Yeah. And all credit to Yanez for weathering the storm. I thought Yanez looked like a beast, particularly in the finish. That body shot, the uppercut, just
2 body shots and then the uppercut to bring him down. And also when he established pressure, it was a completely different type of thing as well. I mean, obviously Costa was tired, and I don't think he's really as good going backwards as he is going forwards. But Yanez was just using those feints, staying in his face, and he was keeping a pressure on that wasn't burning the energy in the same way that Costa was.
When it's understanding when the blood's really in the water, when to go for the finish. I did, like you say, it's the difference in the experience. Like if you've got that kind of respect for your opponent, then you understand that it's not just about being wary of the fact that they can still be dangerous, but the fact that maybe they're a bit tougher than the average person, and you really want to set this finish up the right way. So, you know, all of the great ones had this kind of reserved violence. You know, John Jones was fantastic at knowing when to go for the finish. man, Anderson Silva. There's just, people that understand how to kind of set it up and when it's really there. And that's I think that's kind of what you described with Yanez. That was a really good, controlled, violent, measured approach. Just understood when to let it go.
Yeah, and great show of respect between the two guys before fight, during the fight, after the fight. I'm a big fan of both of these guys, man. I think they're both great, really likable, great fighting style, loads of ability, super young. And it's kind of weird that Yanez looks so similar to Masvidal. I don't know if his ring name is literally Lil Masvidal, but it should be.
I don't know if I see that similarity so much, but it's not a bad nickname.
He fights like Masvidal.
I'll give you that.
And he's going to go on to great things. Bantamweight division is nuts at the moment.
Yeah.
So good. So talented. And yeah, main card was filled with some really great fights and performances. But when three of them don't go the way that you should, it just leaves that bitter taste in your mouth.
For me, I wasn't really judging it so much by like my picks.
I don't mean for the picks. I just mean more that
I hate that in terms of like the good guys versus the bad guys.
Not even that. Just I don't. Even if it goes in a direction, I'm not saying that I'm an expert by any stretch, and I won't necessarily say that the Kyler Phillip ones is frustrating, but I can equally understand that there is a difficulty in discerning a 10-9 to a 10-8, and those mistakes can happen. And with the Dillashaw one, it's a close fight. I get that. But when it's predicated by the Barber Maverick decision, and then you just see that commonality, if you have one of the two of those results independent of themselves, you go, okay, it's a close fight, hard to call. But when you see the same judges in 3 of 5 fights all in succession, and it's just a little bit, the commentary team haven't seen it that way either. None of the media response, none of the response online is going like and it's not just you. It just kind of leaves that frustration of like, you want to think that you're going to get the result that should happen. And when it happens in quick succession that you don't, it can kind of just I don't like getting to a decision and having that feeling of, oh, I'm not sure about this. Yeah,
well, this is one of the kind of plus sides as I view it for like the kind of like fighter safety argument of having the earlier and earlier finishes. Having the kind of the softer kind of finish, having the standing TKOs and so on, because the less that we use the judges, the better. But we've talked about it before. If there isn't a title upheaval in the way that they select and license judges, then you fucking get what you pay for. It's ridiculous. They set the bar so low. No wonder the standard is garbage.
Yeah. And listen, sometimes these nights happen. We're all human. We all make mistakes. Everybody has a bad night. There can be really, there's really real world situations with the way the judging's set up. We have a fantastic angle in many ways watching on TV. The judges have got one angle of an octagon. There's a lot of things that
no. They've got like they've also got monitors
screens
on an arm that they can push away if they don't want it. Yeah.
Okay, so there is no excuse. Fuck the judges, they suck. Yeah. Let's get it right. Prelims, not the same issue with the judging for the most part. Prelims had some good fights. Brendan Allen impressed me.
That was a good fight.
That was a really good fight.
Pick against him or pick for him?
No, we picked against him. I just thought I'm really impressed with Soriano, but I thought Allen he doesn't give a fuck, man. He'll stay there and he'll trade and he'll land shit. And I didn't think he'd win this on the feet either. So massive respect, fair play to the guy. He's improved a lot since the Sean Strickland fight.
Yeah, that's 2 good wins. Is it 2 wins since the Strickland fight, or has it been another one?
2 wins. 2 wins.
Just 2 wins. Hey, he's all in. I'm sorry. What else do we have?
Soriano, same thing with Randy Costa. 8 fights, his 9th fight. needs more time and experience. He'll get there. He's looks awesome. Aside from that, well, this should have been the moment that I knew that we were fucking cursed. We'll get to Imavov, and well, we'll touch on Imavov. He beat Heinisch. I think there's something there, but it's not quite. I don't know.
I think we kind of called this one. We just didn't have enough respect for Imavov.
Yeah, it's weird.
He looked good.
Heinisch needs to go down a weight class, man. I think he needs to shed a little bit of muscle and then go down to 170 because he just feels like he's a little undersized with some of these guys.
Yeah, I don't think his wrestling game is going to stack up well at 170.
True.
Wonder if he can make 55. Fucking hell. Who else did we have?
Well, I knew that maybe it wasn't going to be our night when Mickey Gole beat Jordan Williams. And fuck me, he didn't look bad. I'm not saying he looked great. I'm not saying he had to do a lot to win. But when he knocked him down and rocked him on the feet, I literally just went, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, he looked all right. It wasn't like Jordan Williams really looked all that bad. It's just the Mickey Gall did look all right. I didn't see that coming.
Well, you know what? We didn't look at the most key bit of new information. Who was in this fucking
Matt Brown.
Matt Brown. Like, fuck, he could be a pussy and have to go back with Matt Brown in his corner. I mean, they might just lock him in a room and just leave the two for like an hour and just sort of, you know, we'll open the door and just see if anyone's still alive at the end. Who's still alive at the end? And he fought like a guy that was not going to lose that fight. And fair play to him. With Jordan Williams, he's dropping down. I don't know, maybe the cut affected him.
Looks a little chinny.
It happens.
He's got a big old chin as well. So
I'd say this though, Mickey Gall, physically he looks strong. He looks good. You know, I think he's he looked good. He's gonna have to do that a few more times and against a slightly bigger name at least. But I think for Jordan Williams, he's hoping that Mickey Gall does well soon, just so that loss will start to age well, because that one's gonna sit on his record for a little bit, like just the fucking worst demon surge you can imagine. Sorry, Jordan. Yeah, for Mickey Gall, I mean that was a must win, absolute must win.
Yeah,
and he got it. So fair play to the guy. Jordan Williams. Yeah, that I'm not going to talk about that. Instead, let's talk about someone we were right about, Julio Arce.
Yeah,
absolutely. Just, I mean, this is what I thought. This is exactly what I thought was going to happen with this fight. Andre Ewell is not as good as he thinks he is. And
no, man,
not a good mentality to have in the octagon.
Yeah, this is one of only 2 fights I got right.
I thought you weren't going to say the number.
I wasn't going to, but it's so funny. I had to.
Yeah, I got so 3. Bad. I think this is good. Let's just put it this way. Between you, me, and Sly, our official combined total number of correct picks is 5.
Yeah.
This is the worst one we've ever done.
Yeah, as well, it might be like the first time I've not like at least broken 500. I don't know if I've even ever gotten, I probably have gotten down to 500. I don't think I've ever dipped below, and then just to do it this badly.
Do you know what's really upsetting about this as well? Is that when you and me, by just pure coincidence, were fucking match for match on this card. Yeah. I was so confident. I was just like, me and Josh, we know what we're talking about. The fact that we've individually come to practically the same conclusion means that we're just saying this is how it is. And it wasn't.
Fuck it.
Fuck it. We got Arce right, and we got Sijara Eubanks right. She looked like a fucking beast. And Elise didn't look like much, but you know.
Yeah, well,
give her a chance to look like anything.
Well, when she can cut down to 125 and look healthy, she is a very tough proposition. She's very physically strong. That probably is the best weight class for her.
Agreed.
Just yeah, it'd be nice to see Sarge kind of put together a bit of a win streak now.
It must have been a horrible experience for Reed. She was undefeated coming into this UFC debut and just gets absolutely manhandled.
Well, yeah, I kind of saw her coming though. The more I was like learning about her, she was in the army, turned pro late, wasn't going to do it, but she just kept winning impressively. It's like that's great, but like, so what kind of girls were you going up against? It's just she's been getting lucky a little bit, but she's been getting favorable matchups. Sijara Eubanks is not easy on paper for anybody.
You think there's this bit of an issue as well, like a false confidence thing, where you have somebody from the army, and obviously there's different levels of fitness in the army, but if they're going into MMA, maybe they have a natural athleticism that's going to get a little bit like football players, where they've got enough athleticism that it gives them a kind of false confidence in terms of their level because they're athletic enough to run through lower level competition and then have a much steeper sort of hill to hit once they move up.
It depends, because some of them I think coming through you don't necessarily think of as being the most like agile and athletic, kind of like Brian Stan, Paul Daly, big, trunky, heavy-handed, but Tim Kennedy was it could be quite smooth as a grappler, but really, I don't think they necessarily produce the ideal MMA athlete. Maybe in terms of the training, the mentality, and I think with any kind of professional sport, but particularly like MMA, you will have to fight and train through a lot of injuries. And obviously, you're kind of forced to do that in the army constantly. So there's like that kind of experience will come in handy. That'd be an advantage. I suppose it really kind of depends what you kind of think of as an athlete. I'm really high.
Don't worry.
Let's get back inside the box for me. That's
back in the box.
yeah.
I didn't watch the first fight on the card. I saw that Hannah Goldie lost.
A pretty good fight. Pretty good fight. Is it? I want to say Belbita.
I'd read this as Belbita, but it might be pronounced Belbita.
Belbita. Yeah. She had a stinging right. Goldie was landing the head kick, but kind of as well as in the first round, it just it sort of looked clear that Hannah Goldie was like the stronger girl, but she couldn't really do anything or create any opportunities to cause damage once they kind of get up against the cage or start clinching. And she just kept allowing Belbita to find ways to make what weren't 50-50 positions, 50-50 positions, and just wear on Goldie, slow her down, and just keep tagging her with that right hand. And after the first round, just kind of took over. Looked pretty good. I think she lost like her first 2 fights or first 3 fights. So this was, very much a must win for her. What was Goldie?
Debut.
Yeah, because the original debut got cancelled, right?
Right.
Okay, so shit, we'll probably see both girls again. Goldie did look quite nice in the kicking game. Just they need to put it together with like some kind of like throws, trips, takedowns. Just be more of an MMA fighter.
Okay. Overall thoughts on the card. If I put aside my judging frustration and my abominable performance on the picks, probably say 7.5, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it was decent. There was some good fights, good performances.
What do you think?
Dillashaw pisses me off, so that just kind of soured the whole thing.
Do you think it's a fight of the year candidate?
No.
Candidate, not fight of the year, but in the conversation.
Nah. No, but don't ask me to tell you who my fight of the year candidates are. I can't remember right now.
Don't worry. I'm going to be honest, it would be tough for me to pull it out of thin air as well. I'd have to think about it. But people have been saying fight of the year candidate. So that's why I thought I'd mention it. I mean, yeah, to be honest, as you think, particularly in terms of title fights, haven't been a lot of close title fights this year. It's been a lot of beatdowns. A lot of finishes in title fights. A lot of outclassings. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Chandler Oliveira was very exciting, but it was over.
Today's not the day. Let's not. Today's not the day. Today's not the day.
Today's not the day. We'll round up our conversation on UFC for a second and move across to some bare knuckle boxing. I didn't watch BK FC 19, but I have watched Paige Van Zandt versus Rachel Ostovich. Have you seen this fight?
Nah, I haven't. Was it good?
It was entertaining. Rachel Ostovich just didn't give a fuck. Threw heavier shots, landed heavier shots, ate everything that Paige ate. To be fair, Paige took everything that Rachel shot as well. But Rachel rocked her in the fourth round, kind of took over, managed to get it unanimous decision. And as soon as the decision was read, Paige stormed immediately out of the building.
So she's lost 2 now, right?
2 in a row in bare knuckle, 3 in a row across combat sports, including mixed martial arts. Fair play to Rachel. She looked really good, and I think she seemed to get the hang of it a lot quicker than Paige's. And it just kind of confirmed to me what I felt before this whole bare knuckle boxing started, which is Paige is not a boxer. At no point have I seen any of her MMA fights. Have I looked at her and thought, you know what your best skill set is? Boxing.
Yeah.
She's good grappler. She's got good submissions. She can kick.
Yeah.
None of those things are allowed in bare knuckle boxing. I think this is really stupid. I don't think this is working out for her.
What about Game Bred MMA? You know, Masvidal's bare knuckle MMA organization.
Well, I think it's what I'm learning about it is that it's a different sport. It's a different thing entirely. And maybe Rachel Ostovich, she was a lot more boxing focused in her MMA career. I think she got the aspect of it a lot more quickly than Paige has. I'm not against people doing it. I mean, to be honest, Paige released some pictures of her hands and they're just like, I mean, they're so bruised. They're so horrifically bruised that I don't know if that's good for anybody. And there's a lot of cuts. I mean, there's a quite spectacular amounts of cuts. But the flip side of that is that they, and this is what I think people are figuring out quite quickly who are doing it, you literally just can't hit people as hard.
Yeah.
Which kind of is a good thing. It's kind of a bad thing. But I feel a lot of it ends up just becoming hands flailing very quickly without a large amount of organization. There's a lot of just two people in a single collar clinch, just both going like this.
Yeah, the old Don Fry and I don't know. I'm trying to remember shit on my high. Yeah, I've enjoyed watching some bare knuckle, but I mean, really, I'm thinking like Jason Knight, Artem Lobov.
That was a good fight.
Yeah.
Artem Lobov versus Paulie Malignaggi was fun.
That was okay. Yeah, it was.
Chris Lieben's last fight was very strange. I don't know if you watched his bare knuckle fight.
I think I have seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, he was against a very colorful character who got a knuckle in the eye early on and screamed like I've never heard any human being scream in an attempt to motivate himself to stand up.
That bit I don't remember.
It was. I'm not going to repeat it because it would just seem very strange and unsettling. But yeah, it's the kind of thing you expect to see at some like shitty fucking bar off fucking Route 66 in the middle of Buck Nowhere, Texas.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it was fun. I feel a bit bad for Paige. I think it's all going wrong. which might be a little harsh to say, and I know that losses happen, but she made all these big decisions and was very outspoken about them, and she burned some bridges, and now it's, you know what I mean? I think she went to bare knuckle thinking that she's going to dominate and just be the queen of this thing and then come back to MMA with some extra hype. And I can't imagine that she's not sitting there thinking, I'm fucking, I'm sliding down the lowest totem pole there is in combat sports right now. And that's not disrespecting bare knuckle, but it's new. It's not boxing. It's not kickboxing. It's not fucking MMA. It's pretty low on the rung right now.
Yeah, we apologize for the gas man in the background.
Oh fuck! Did you hear that as well?
He is persistent.
Mate, they don't fucking. I don't even know anybody who uses it, man. I honestly think he's just doing it for fun.
Fucking hell. Yeah, he's noisy. He's a noisy boy.
Guy, man. Fuck this guy. Oh, now he's setting the dog off. Oh, you've got your headphones on.
Yeah, everything sets that dog off though.
We need like a soundproof studio that's like equidistant from our two flats. We can both just go there at the same time and do this.
Oh, for sure. What else we got to cover? Anything happened in the news?
That's what I'm about to look at. I know that last week we said we'd do the previous week's Bellator breakdown. I still haven't seen it. So we'll have like, in a few weeks' time, when there's a big Bellator card, we're going to do like a whole Bellator themed episode. And it will just be a Bellator hour. And we'll
let's do the
conversation.
Pitbull against McKee.
Done. What date's that?
Oh, you have to look it up. I'm so high.
It's for a different day. It's for a different day. Looking at the news. Okay, Garbrandt is trying to push for a title fight at 125, saying that the Moreno title fight makes sense. I don't know how much sense it makes when he hasn't fought in the division yet, but I don't think Moreno is going to mind fighting him. I think
Moreno wants it. He wants it. You know, I thought this was going to happen. So, yeah, fucking, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But fuck it, flyweight is a fun division as well.
Yeah. And I don't think Moreno would mind at all having a very popular, potentially big draw in Garbrandt on the pay-per-view to bring in some extra sales. So I don't think you're going to find too much complaint from him.
No.
Obviously, Garbrandt's also been in the news because, surprise, surprise, he is shitting over TJ Dillashaw, saying he didn't think he won the fight either. Funny that he was so quick to come out with that. Other news. Jake Paul has been discussing fighting Conor McGregor, saying his teams are now in touch. I'm going to be honest, I actually quite want this to happen, just for the simple reason being that that would really end McGregor's relevancy in any way, shape, or form.
I don't care.
You don't care. We're gonna move
on.
Touched on this already. Two of the people that came out with rough decisions in the card we've just been talking about have also released statements. Maverick says no ifs and buts, no excuses. I need to do better. Fantastic reaction. She's just getting on with it. Zandhagen is saying he's not going to be a whiny baby, but I get it, man. He thinks he picked him apart. He thinks he landed more damage. He is kind of saying that, but he's also saying he needs to do better. So he's kind of doing that. I think I won, but I also need to improve, which I don't know if I can blame him for if I was in his shoes after a fight like that.
Yeah, he knows that wasn't his best fight. He knows there's areas he can work on there. And it must be frustrating that a guy coming in off a long layoff was able to implement the game plan that everyone was going to, you assume that his team were going to be pushing him to use without him being able to do enough to stop him. I would have thought that pretty much would have been everything they game planned against. and he really looked like he didn't have an answer for Dillashaw in some moments. And unfortunately, Dillashaw was able to use those moments to count apparently enough damage to win 3 rounds. So, but yeah,
Enough of that. Enough of that.
fuck it.
Final thing. This is a bit of cool news. So UFC 267 is almost certainly going to be in Abu Dhabi. The pay-per-view is going to start early. It's going to be a morning pay-per-view for the American audience and a very nice afternoon pay-per-view going through to the evening for us. And for American audiences that are used to having to pay a very large amount of money to purchase the pay-per-view legally, are going to be able to watch it free in America. It's going to be a numbered non-pay-per-view event.
How are they broadcasting it?
So on ESPN and ESPN or ESPN Plus, it would just be free. And then maybe they're going to hike the pay-per-view up maybe a bit more for England. But either way.
So it's just kind of pushing the subscriptions instead.
Yeah. I think also they just realized that if it's going to broadcast at 11 o'clock in the morning, it starts at 11 in the morning on a Saturday, it's not really giving the audience in America the best opportunity to get the large numbers in.
Is it going to be free for us?
It should be still on Fight Pass.
Yeah, I hope so.
Or on DAZN, which it should also still be free on. So we're gold either way. Everyone gets to enjoy something for a reasonable price. And on that note, I've got a guy banging pots near me. Otis is deciding he wants to have a guest spot on the podcast. So I think that might be a good point to wrap it up. We will be back with the full trio on Friday for the pick show. Until then, everybody, have a great week. And
bye, Laurie. Bye, Dave.